This is Find Your Dream Job, the podcast that helps you get hired, have the career you want, and make a difference in life. I'm your host, Mac Pritchard. I'm also the founder of Mac's List. It's a job board in the Pacific Northwest that helps you find a fulfilling career. One of the best ways to get good at job hunting is to talk to people who do it well. That's why once a month, I interview a Mac's List reader who found a job they love. Our guest today is Miranda Whitters. She's the Human Resources Coordinator at DW Fritz Automation. Miranda Whitters believes in the power of persistence. In a story you can find on the Mac's List website, Miranda shares that her biggest challenge has been dealing with the uncertainty that a job search can bring. But instead of giving up, she kept applying and found a position she loves. Miranda, why do you love your job?
Yeah, so I love my job because I think it's a perfect mix of both structure and spontaneity. And what I mean by that is there are certain structures and processes that I need to follow in order to do my job correctly. But at the same time, no day is exactly the same, where different assignments will come up or I'll be tasked with different projects. And so it makes the day go by really fast. And another really rewarding aspect of my job is that I'm able to help hire people to our company. And so, especially in the times that we're in today, it's really great when I'm able to give people a call, tell them that they are going to be starting. So, those are just a few of the reasons that I love my current job. Yeah.
Your career has been in human resources. What attracted you to the field, Miranda?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so, in regards to that, I'll be completely honest. When I graduated from college, I received a bachelor's of arts in psychology. And the thing is that I didn't really want to go into the medical field of psychology, but I still wanted to find a way to utilize my psychology degree. And so, one of the first jobs I actually ended up having was as a recruiter at a tech company. And working as a recruiter helped me realize that I really enjoyed the different processes of recruiting, speaking with all sorts of different individuals, just hearing their own stories about previous work experiences, why they were interested in joining our company. And then from there on, I decided that I wanted to explore more aspects of HR, since recruiting is one smaller part of HR, but there's so many different other things you can do with HR. And so, because of that, I was able to start to understand a little bit more of what I was looking for. And I think studying and taking my APHR certificate also solidified my interest in human resources. And I'm at a point where I'm really happy with where I'm at, and I feel like I'm in the right direction in terms of my career.
How did you make that leap from getting out of college and deciding that you would give a job as a recruiter a try? What process did you go through to decide to do that?
I think what really helped me was having an open mind. Because my friend actually was working at the company first, and she was telling me a little bit about what she does on a daily basis. And so it did sound really interesting, and it sounded like a lot of fun. And so when a position did become available at the company, she was able to refer me for that role, and I was able to get an interview. And they did offer me a temp to hire opportunity there. And when I did started working there, it was just a really great time to get my foot in the door in recruiting and have a better understanding of what it entails. And then after about 2 years being mainly in both staff agency recruiting and corporate recruiting, I then decided that I want to not only continue focusing on recruiting, but also try to take that next leap into other aspects of HR, which is why I was really excited at the opportunity that came along with DW Fritz, where it's a balance between HR administrative tasks and then also recruiting as well.
Now, before you came to DW Fritz, you did a job search and you wrote about it in an article on our website. And you said that your biggest challenge was uncertainty. Can you talk more about that, Miranda?
Yeah, definitely. Uncertainty was a really big challenge for me. I think the reason being is it's just the hardest part is trying to get that initial conversation going with the hiring manager. The competition when I was applying was pretty fierce, and so it can be a little disheartening when you send in so many applications, but it goes down that applications black hole, as they sometimes say, and you don't hear back from people. So, balancing the uncertainty with other aspects of my life is kind of what helped me persevere when I was unemployed for a brief amount of time.
Were there skills that you learned as a recruiter before you came to DW Fritz that helped you in your job search?
I believe so because the job that I had before was working as a recruiter at Aston Carter, and so that was my first time being involved in a more staff agency position. But at the same time, it also gave me more understanding of what staff agencies do on a daily basis. And so I think having that inner knowledge that I learned from Aston Carter, understanding what the staff agency procedures are, really did help me. And it made me feel comfortable to be able to go to different staff agencies to ask for additional help or attend different webinars, use them as a resource. Whereas before that, before working at Aston Carter, I might not have considered that as much.
Besides attending webinars and approaching different staffing agencies, were there other uh, tricks or tips that you learned during your time as a recruiter that you'd recommend people doing a job search follow?
I think my biggest tip would be to not limit yourself and to try and step out of your comfort zone. When I was looking for work, I realized that the way that I had been more passively applying to jobs wasn't really working for me in terms of doing the one click apply at either ZipRecruiter or Indeed. That wasn't really working for me because I wasn't putting in the right effort. And so I would go on LinkedIn to see if there were different webinars and different other opportunities that maybe I didn't know about. And one of them was actually attending the Mulberry and Max List webinar last spring. That was actually the first time I've ever attended something like that. And because of that, I think it helped open up a lot of opportunities for me because Mulberry was the agency that was helping me to get placed at DW Fritz. And then I also have this really exciting opportunity to be part of a podcast. And it's my first time being on a podcast. So I would just say don't limit yourself and don't let fear kind of control your job search. Be open to hearing about all sorts of opportunities. Try not to limit yourself.
So in this instance, you attended a webinar that led to a connection with a staffing agency that eventually led to the job you have, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Any other steps you took, Miranda, that were especially useful in your search?
I think what helped me was besides doing the job search, I also decided to focus on trying to get that APHR certificate. And so setting those sort of goals allowed me to balance not only looking for new opportunities, but it also was helping me to further my own personal professional development by trying to study and obtain the APHR. I think because I was able to obtain it, it helped to make my resume look a little bit more competitive compared to when I didn't have it. I noticed that there seemed to be a bit of a higher response rate when I had to start looking for new opportunities again once I had that. Mhm.
And can you help me with the acronym APHR? What does that mean, Miranda?
Yeah, so that's an associate professional in human resources. And so that's kind of like the first certificate. I'm sure people have heard of the PHR or the SHRM, which are the more high level certificates that a lot of HR professionals will take. But since I was really only exposed to recruiting, I thought obtaining an APHR would give me more exposure and a better understanding of human resources as a whole, which is why I decided the APHR was the best route for me to get a certificate in.
And did you get advice during your search from employers or others who encouraged you to get a certificate like that?
It was actually one of my really good friends who had encouraged me to look into it. And so I was able to borrow her study materials. I did my own research to determine if it was a good fit for what I wanted to do. And then once I did decide that I wanted to get my APHR, then again, I utilized my time not only in job searching, but again, dedicating maybe 1 to 2 hours a day just going over notes, studying, doing practice tests. And so that definitely really helped me to balance my day and also kind of balance the uncertainty that I was feeling by the job search.
In your current position, it's a contract job, and this is the second contract position you've had in a row. How do you feel about taking temporary work like this, Miranda?
That's a great question. I feel like contracts can make people a little wary because it's not a permanent role, and it's how I felt before I took that job with Columbia Distributing, because at the end of the day, we're looking for stability and structure. But sometimes, depending on the situation that you're in, a contract can actually be a good temporary solution. And that's what I determined when decided to take that contract with Columbia Distributing. I saw it as a way to be able to gain new work skills, to also balance my time with studying for the APHR, and to earn a little bit of extra money, knowing that the assignment was going to be temporary. It was a good temporary solution that ended up being extended to the end of the year. So it actually ended up working out great, because after my contract with Columbia Distributing ended, then I was able to start immediately at DW Fritz.
And how do you prepare for the future? I hope your association with DW Fritz is a long one, but it is a contract position. So what advice do you have for someone who might be uh, navigating the same waters
Mhm,
and looking at a contract coming to an end in a month or 2 or 3 months?
mhm. Yeah, that's a great question. My best advice for that is to make sure that you're in good communication with the agency that you're working with. To it, once you do realize, hey, my contract is coming to a close soon, just notifying them to see either the company wants to extend your contract, or if not, then letting them know that the contract is ending so that they know that you're available for new assignments. And so I would just say communication is the most important aspect, because if you just assume that either a contract will be extended or that you'll get converted, that's not always the case. And so you want to make sure that you are on the same page as everyone else before the contract does come into an end.
When you reflect back on your job search, Miranda, what didn't work?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I would say, I mentioned this a little bit earlier before, but something that wasn't really working for me was when I was more passively applying for jobs. Nowadays, a lot of job boards have easier, like, one click apply to positions. And so I would do that thinking, oh, it's an easier application, maybe I'll hear back. But at least in my experience, I think so many other people were also doing that, that my application would just get buried under all the other ones. And so that was that was when I kind of decided that it wasn't working for me, and I needed to do something more, because I wanted to get a better response rate, which is why I started to try to attend more webinars, revamp my resume, work with agencies. I needed to do more than just passively applying.
Finally, what's your number one job search tip, Miranda?
I would say my number one job search tip would be, again, not to limit yourself to the opportunities that are presented to you, or to have an open mind when you are looking for new opportunities, because you never know the way something will turn out. It's actually funny because in May of 2020, there was a potential opportunity with DW Fritz that Mulberry had run by me, but the position unfortunately was closed during that time, and I was a little disappointed because it looked like a really exciting opportunity. But then in December, 6 months later, they had that opportunity come back again, and so because I already established that connection with Mulberry, I think it helped make the application process run a lot smoother, and I I was able to get that opportunity. So I would just say again, not to limit yourself. Try to network with the professionals who know how to help people get jobs, and to keep an open mind.
Well, thank you for sharing your story, Miranda. To learn more about Miranda Whitters' job search, visit maxlist.org/stories. And check out the Max List website for dozens of other success stories. On the second Friday of every month, we add a new interview with a Max List reader who has found a dream job. Go to maxlist.org/stories. In the meantime, thank you for listening to today's bonus episode of Find Your Dream Job.